takes so much to go live these days. Publish your broadcast 60%. Boy, the month will be half over tomorrow. Hello, everybody. September 14th, 2020. It is 7:47 p.m. Pacific Daylight Savings Time. And welcome to all of you. Hello, Noreen. Hello, Leisure Blank. We're going to try something a little different. Tonight we're going to try to have a little bit of discussion here. It's going to be an open chat. We can talk about whatever is on your mind. Hello, Debbie Lynn. How you doing, sweetheart? Nice to see you. We can talk about whatever you guys want. But some people expressed an interest. I broached the topic of having discussions of classic movies and movies that have stood the test of time. And I think tonight will be interesting just for a little while. We can talk about some of the aspects of what it means to make a movie. And the real question is, are classics the result of just good luck, good fortune, or good planning? Hey, Charla, how are you, sweetie? I appreciate your letter today. Nocturnal, good to see you. Bad hemorrhoid. Hey, Robert. Ms. Linda, great. Mind Hunter, good to see you. The beautiful cyanide cupcake. Jamie, how you doing, sweetie? Positivity tonight, of course. If you pursue something that you have a passion in, you don't care whether 5 people are in here, 500 people, or 5,000 people. And one of the strange little quirks about me is I've always had a passion for classic movies. How did it, hey, Ms. Phoenix, Miss Phoebe, how are you? How did that penny pincher, everybody, nice to see you. How did that come about? When I was in college, my girlfriend took an elective called, you had a certain number of electives in college, and she took the history of film. And to just kill time, I would go in there with a couple of my friends enrolled that, and I would just sit in. That film teacher didn't care. It was always late afternoon, and they would roll a film, and I would sit in there, and I thought, wow, I've never seen anybody. How you doing, Line Screw? Logan's Run, classic stuff. Hello, Elaine. Lunar, how are you? Anton Smith, hi, Watch. Hi, everybody. Good to see you. Well, I'm surprised. I thought we'd have 5 people, movie buffs in here discuss. I have been working very hard, but I'm feeling better. You can tell my mood is starting to lift. There's nothing like getting a little hours on the clock to make you feel good. The air is cleaner. I'm feeling good. I'm good today. Juice, what's going on, Juicy? Yeah, we're having open chat. Whatever you talk about. Sign. I said a good movie is good writing, good director, good score. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. I found it very interesting, and I want to get my phone because I want you to hear this. Let's see if it's working on here. Hey, Google. It's working over there, but not here. Stupid thing. I gotta laugh. I gotta laugh. Okay. Hey, Google. What's the temperature right now?
The current temperature in Santa Rosa is 64 degrees.
64 degrees and smoky. But Dad, it is smoky. Doris Day was a good actress. Now listen to this, guys. Hey Google, what makes a movie a classic movie?
According to FilmSite, classic films are often distinguished or unique works of cinema that have transcended time and trends with indefinable quality.
So what did they basically tell you? What did Wikipedia tell you about? Listen to that again. Hey Google, what makes a film a classic film?
According to FilmSite, Classic films are often distinguished or unique works of cinema that have transcended time and trends with indefinable quality.
With the did you get the key words? Indefinable quality. And therein lies the whole problem of the studios and the traditional problem of movie making over the last 100 years of motion pictures. It really is a challenge when you try to think about what aspects make it great. I remember one time somebody told me that trying to think of exactly how we were told that they were told uh, so it was something to the extent that you can't you know a beautiful piece of music, a wonderful piece of music when you hear it, but you cannot define what makes it beautiful. Okay, it's such a combination of unknowable factors that it's one of the situations that the that the studios have run into when they fight this perennial battle. Should we produce stuff of quality, or should we just produce stuff that we know is going to be commercially acceptable? Thank you, Lisa. $10 from Lisa, and it's a real conundrum. One of the worst things that studios can do is try to make something that'll be a classic movie, expend a lot of money, and then it bombs at the box office. It just leaves a terrible taste in their mouth. I would, I would, I would come to the conclusion myself, and I think to myself, you cannot define exactly what makes a classic movie any more than you can define what makes Beethoven's Fifth, Beethoven's Ninth, Beethoven's Sixth Symphonies so great. You can't put your finger on it. You can't tell people this is what makes this great compared to Samuel Barber's Adagio for Strings. It's very difficult to do. I think it was the cinematography and actors that played a huge part. You're on early. Yeah, everything's going good. Yeah, I'm feeling energized. I'm feeling good. For the 80s, movies had the most life to them. I would kind of agree with that. Yeah, Waterworld was an expensive bomb. But do you really believe in the history of Hollywood that any studio has ever, executives have ever sat down in production meetings and said, you know, guys, we got to make a movie that's going to be a real classic? I don't really think in the history of Hollywood that they've ever had a production meeting like that. Now, I think that they have had some meetings where, say, Selznick Studios got the rights to do Gone with the Wind, and they were under such intense pressure that they knew this book was so big. This book was already a mega bestseller, swept the South. People in the North were interested. Margaret Mitchell's A Tale of the South, right? Everybody knew this thing was going to be made into a movie. And the storyline was so good, it was up to the studio to screw it up in the production of it. So they were under tremendous pressure that they carried true to the movie and did end up producing a classic. More like a piece of fine art, exactly. What's up? Alan Gold likes the fraudulent Rosiak. Good to see you. What's up, Scottish? So we thought we'd talk about that tonight, and then lay a couple ground rules for a movie that we might talk about. One of the easiest paths, I think, to classic movies, and I think we all agree. You could write them down. If you had to come up with some bullet points, what makes it potentially classic movie, you would say story, acting, scenery. In other words, how it's staged, the especially the acting, maybe the costuming, maybe the production qualities, maybe it's breaking new ground and people get a wow effect in cinema. But which thing do you guys? How you doing, Kevin? Which aspect of it do you think is the most important part when it comes to not just creating a classic movie, but a movie that's going to attract people to watch it? people like Martin Scorsese have complained, particularly over the last 15 years, that we've been producing comic book cinema. In other words, it's all special effects and all CGI, computer generated imagery and things. And the stories have started to, you don't see stories being put up like Goodfellas or Casino and those kind of things because they're out of synchronization with the times that we're in right now. I prefer black and white films. Well, you'll like our first film then, coming up, Gone with the Wind, Annie, and Singing in the Rain. Chemistry for the actors. Yeah, Kevin Leonard. In my opinion, I think storyline, you have to come with a great storyline. And I think if you purchase, this is why Hollywood so avidly eats up uh, books that become bestsellers out there, and of course, less people are reading really than ever before. So it's sort of draining the pool of creativity in terms of the written word. I think we can all kind of agree that it's shrinking. More magazines go online every month. The New Yorker magazine, Atlantic, Harper's Weekly, all these things that that the intellectual, the elite would look at week to week and find very lesser light books and like, wow, this book is incredible, and bring it to light. I looked it up on YouTube. Couldn't find. I don't know which movie. Hollywood is running out of ideas. Yes, Hollywood is in the franchise mode. Okay, if you're viewing things like a business, and I don't care whether it's Las Vegas, I don't care whether it's producing movies, everything is corporatized now. You have very few, I would argue, people that are artistic visionaries in movies. They're creating movies for commercial, for the best commercial, what they believe will be the best commercial acceptance. Now you can say they did that in the 1930s. Of course they did. They stuffed B movies, all kinds of crap in there, cheap westerns, anything that they could do to pack up the features and get people into the theaters. But still, you would have studios would take a shot. You had some independent studios, some smaller studios, the RKO's, the some that like the Selznick, and some of the smaller movie studios were the ones that would really take a chance on some some of the more progressive movies. They never were able to make a good movie from a Jack Kerouac book. Exactly. On the Road, you can't define, you can't put that into that. Jack Kerouac of the 50s and 60s defined the Beat Generation in his book On the Road. How the hell are you going to make that into a movie? It's like trying to make a movie about Arlo Guthrie. It's, like, really? How do you encapsulate that? How do you spin it? How do you dramatize it and all that kind of things? Hi, Denise. How run home a rooster from the store? Just read it. Be Gone in the Dark about the Golden State Killer. I wish it would default, to live. I've seen several docs on him. Lays it down. Hey, how you doing, Evil Abe? Watched an old clip of you. It was funny as hell. You were ranting, and he kept trying. Yeah, save that, Abe. How you doing? That was classic Rosie there. I don't do it too often. I think 2 times in 10,000 videos. So you, my friend, have a classic piece of gold there. Good to see you. I hope you're healthy and well. We need more sci-fi movies. I think we've had an abundance of sci-fi type of movies. I think we've had an abundance of superhero movies. We've had an abundance of weird sci-fi, blue and teal colored movies, dark, ominous. I think Alien really kicked off that trend when I was in college or whatever. Sigourney Weaver in the first Aliens. I really think that was the genre that really kind of blew people away and really started the trend towards horror slash. Besides the campy B movies of the 50s, that kind of thing. Yep, all the ET, yeah, the ET movies are fun. But would you kind of agree that Alien and Close Encounters of the Third Kind? I don't even know what year Close Encounters of the Third Time uh, came out, but that was one of the earliest. Are there other intelligent beings out there? But as far as Hollywood is concerned, in a classic movie, how can some movies people agree on, like Citizen Kane and like Gone with the Wind? How can they come to the consensus that those movies are classic, like Alfred Hitchcock's Shadow of a Doubt, filmed here in Santa Rosa, is number 27 on the list of classic movies? I think that I believe, in my opinion, the number one thing that I think makes a classic movie is it's got to have a very compelling. It doesn't need to be gruesome. It doesn't need to be bloody, but it needs to have a compelling storyline. It needs screenwriting. I believe is the backbone of that movie, and then you need a good director and a good cinematographer to take that vision of the scriptwriter and bring it into something real on camera. Tonight I'm just going to say hello. Oh, you're Stone. Are you including horror flicks? It depends. If you think that a movie is a horror, classifies as a classic movie, certainly 1931's Frankenstein, 1930s Bela Lugosi and Dracula. They are. Thank you, Miss Phoebe. I think they have too many remakes today to guarantee profit, not as much originality. I would agree. As I was saying, like Las Vegas, the studio system now has been turned to gear towards the sure bet. Don't take a long shot. Don't waste money. And probably now, with the pandemic, it's more of a constraint than ever that, ooh, don't take a chance because we're not getting the money flow. We're not getting the butts in the seat in the theater. So they're even becoming less, I believe, risk averse now. Primal Fear. Arsenic and Old Lace is a great movie. But all of these classics that you will cite either came out of great books, and in the early days in Hollywood, it was easy to pick great books because they hadn't been made into movies yet. You could take the classics, Wuthering Heights and Jane Eyre and David Copperfield, The Tale of Two Cities, and Laurence Olivier does Shakespeare, and Lawrence of Arabia. All these great novels that had lain out there for forever. Very easy to snatch and grab and bring them. Look at what Cecil B. DeMille did two times with the Ten Commandments. He did like the 1915 version or whatever, of which out in the California desert you can still see the huge city monoliths that he built for the sets and things buried in the sand. So good story called The Boy with the Green. Now, I'd like to see a modern take on The Outsider similar to Jonah. Yeah, that would be pretty interesting. That'd be pretty interesting, Abe. But classic, you'll rarely find horror movies that slide into the classic movie realm, mainly because many of them tend to be NR, and you'll notice that very few NR, not rated, what used to be R-rated movies really make it into the classic. It was like kind of Hollywood's way to kind of keep people within the playing field of what's going to be most watchable. But Ace says Rosemary's Baby is a classic. What makes it a classic? Unique storyline. You have to be able to, yeah. See, Mindhunter says it was disturbing. I think The Exorcist was disturbing. Would I call The Exorcist a classic? I don't think so. I'd call it a cult classic, and a cult classic is where you find more of the horror genre, but not in the definition of mainstream thing. Yes, I'm ready for my close up, Mr. DeMille. Sunset Boulevard, right? What an excellent story. It's like Rosie could fit right in there. The aging star who's over the hill that doesn't know that she's past her prime and dreams of some big comeback in the studio, even goes so far as to write her own script to have her former husband, who's now her butler, Max, sit down over the years and laboriously probably type up, besides sending her fake fan letters, writing her fake fan mail, sits down and Cecil B. DeMille takes a look at that script, and he's just, this is horrible. This stuff. Roman Polanski, too far. Yeah, that was far, Abe. And they had to do that because number one, that basically was the death of censor boards at that time. When that movie went through, that was the end. Like Maryland had the very last board of censors, Maryland Board of Film Review, and it was gone after that. Okay, they really worried that they wouldn't get any release on that movie. That it would be shot down by the Justice Department exactly because of that scene in there. But they argued this is the reality of this is how bad things can become when a possession is in fact taking place. This is how terrible and how awfully the devil carries out his mission, and you better get a good eyeful of it. At least if Hollywood, there's a huge archives of movie. Yeah, Dracula with Bela Lugosi, because it broke new ground. It had special effects. But I think of that Sunset Boulevard, which I would definitely put in one of the top 10 classics of all time because it's a great story. And here comes a young writer played by William Holden, who is desperate for money, right? And he has a flat tire in front of the old broad's mansion on Sunset Boulevard. And the next thing you know, he's put up in the garage. He's out buying them fancy clothes. He's traveling in high circles, spending money. But then he realizes he doesn't really have a career, and he's just a kept guy, and he leaves a bad taste in his mouth with the people. It was a good movie. Deliverance was a good example of how a song can affect the success of a movie. Exactly right, Mindhunter. Think of a theme from A Summer Place. Do 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 do. La dee doo doo doo. Great song, but the movie was crappy, right? You have a lot of them. Sometimes they match. Breakfast at Tiffany's with Audrey Hepburn and George Peppard in Moon River, right? I mean, a perfect matching of music to the movie Lost Horizon. That was a good movie. Lost Horizon, yeah, and also the movie that was called Shangri-La, when that plane crashes in an unknown place, right? And these people adjust to the new world of Shangri-La. So, Room 237, Somewhere Over the Rainbow, exactly. Judy Garland hated that song, could not stand singing that song. Okay, she thought it was gummy and sugary and just whacked. But people loved it. It fit the times towards the tail end of the Great Depression, right? When people were just ragged out of all the BS and counting dimes, and it was a song that people liked to hear. Not all movie, but I love Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. An interview with Fear and Loathing of Las Vegas was good, as was Leaving Las Vegas, a great story of the final throes of an alcoholic and how hopeless it is to intervene in that. It was great. Strangers on a Train, yeah. Midnight Cowboy, A Place in the Sun was good. Ace Carson, because that came off of a great book, An American Tragedy. It was probably one of the first novels I read that really made me cry, because it was so Theodore Dreiser. It was such a terrible and tragic thing, and the author had gone to such great pains to detail these characters and their fall. What's that? Because of the soundtrack, yeah, it's on Blake's channel. Come Back, Little Sheba was great. Like I said, Shirley Booth was probably one of the most underrated actors. And her with Burt Lancaster in that movie. Burt Lancaster with a very beautiful Shirley Jones in Elmer Gantry, when Elmer Gantry, Sister Sarah or whatever, is one of these first women preachers. It's supposed to be modeled after Sister Amy Semper McPherson out in L.A., one of the first big radio preachers or whatever. And Burt Lancaster latches onto her, and it's a great tale. It's great writing. Yeah, and Baby, yeah, Baby. I love the Willy Wonka movie. So I think that the backbone of that is, but I don't think, and I don't know if you guys agree. Do you think that you can? Do you think you can create to a classic, or do you just think once in a while you just lightning strikes and everything falls into and just falls into place, and you got damn lucky. You got the right key code of actors, the right story, the right cinematographers and directors of photography, the right producer, the right editing afterward, all of that kind of stuff. I just don't think that you can set out to create a movie that becomes a classic. Yeah, play it again, Sam. Stanley Kubrick directed as well as Tim Burton. Um, Whatever happened to Baby Jane was good. One of the actors that always impressed me with his skills, and maybe you guys know too, Orson Welles. Because Orson Welles created the Mercury Theaters, the Mercury Players in the 1930s. Agnes Moorehead, who went on to play Endora in Bewitched. Joseph Cotton, who became one of the greatest movie stars, right on down the line. There was a whole crew of Mercury Play, and they came from radio. And of course, Orson Welles achieved 1938 that fame with the whatever the hell it was, the when the invasion of Mars, H.G. Wells' War of the World or something. He's reading it on the radio, and people went crazy. You should choose. No, yeah, I'd choose, and then we'll get other people on there. He's great in War of the Worlds, but the thing is, he was also a very gifted actor. And a movie I'm going to suggest in a later week highlights him in a real tearjerker post-war movie that probably nobody's ever seen before, and it's an amazing performance by him. Lumps some Swayze in those hips. Good Lord, yeah. So he was really good. But Orson Welles' big mistake was what? He was too successful in his first film, and he thought he could do anything going forward, and he had this tendency of overrunning budgets and getting fired by the studios. And the studios got so pissed that they just sent him down to South America at the beginning of World War II just to make propaganda films to influence the South American nations to join the U.S. on the side of fighting the Axis powers. And he went there and just started drinking and partying and having a good time. And he never produced anything. And he came back, and nobody wanted to hire him anymore because the guy was he was too much of a perfectionist and wasted too much money. Stuff like that. Stand by your man. Seen every Tarantino known to man. Good storylines, right? Yeah, thumbs up are appreciated, guys, if you're enjoying a little bit of chat. And then we'll talk about some of the ground rules of what we want to look for when we look at some of these movies. And they might not be classic in the sense that you've necessarily heard of them, but some of the dynamics I believe at work in them. There's also something called being a trendsetter in Hollywood too. Suppose in 2020 you're the studio or you're the director or you're the screenwriter that comes up with a whole new concept in a story, and it totally breaks away from the comic book genre that we have now and the CGI computer generated, and just breaks. Oh, thank you, Lisa. $5 from Lisa. It breaks a whole new genre. That in itself can be half, I think, half the springboard towards a classic movie. Is sometimes something comes along that just redefines, like Technicolor. Everybody knows that the Wizard of Oz, when they wake up after the poppies and they look at the Emerald City and it's in beautiful Technicolor and things like that, people remember that. People remember that stuff. I'll probably be asleep when you list the ground. There are no ground rules, but be able to look at some of these movies critically and just decide whether the story was unique. And I'm trying to find films that are in the public domain so you don't have to scratch around and buy them on YouTube, and we can just talk about what made this movie groundbreaking. In the 1940s and 50s, a lot of the great playwrights were shifting their plays over to screen. Who's afraid of Virginia Woolf coming off of the stage, right? Arthur Miller's Death of a Salesman, and all of the Tennessee Williams, Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, and all of the Streetcar Named Desire, and all those were transitioning over to Hollywood at that point. Vegas in Space, there's a movie. Mickey and Mallory. Yeah, objectively. So you have to kind of look at things objectively. I don't think. Well, I have seen tons of silent movies, and one that I was gonna put in tonight, I'll save for the future because I want to rewatch it first on here and make sure that the quality is good because the storyline is good and the backstory on it is fascinating too. How about people that bucked the Hollywood system and came in, and particularly some of the beautiful young ladies and the lecherous casting directors, and the directors would say, "Honey, there's the cast. You know what to do." And once in a while, one would come along and say, "Hey, here are my fingers, and you know what to do." With an independent streak a mile wide. And it's interesting to trace what happened to those stars when they struck out on their own, and how did it all come out in the end. People that chose not to get along with the program, and F you to the studios. On Golden Bond, Banderas, and Desperado get me warm. Yeah, that's the way I feel about Selma Hayek and From Dawn to Dusk, right? From Dusk to Dawn, or whatever the hell it is out there. McCarthyism hurt Hollywood. Yes, it did. Dalton Trumbo and William Gere. What was his name? Who was the guy that played Grandpa on the Waltons? William Gere or whatever. What the hell was his first name? Will Gere, yeah, he got in big trouble with he didn't work for a long time. Plus the FBI threatened to out him for a homosexual relationship and all that he had, as did Ellen Gordon, who played, she had a lifelong companion, a woman that she lived with, but, she claimed it was a friend. So there was a lot of shenanigans. J. Edgar Hoover was always, because movies were so influential, and J. Edgar Hoover believed, as did the Hayes Commission, that movies were so influential that they had to be closely watched because they could provide good inroads for communist thought. They didn't like things like The Grapes of Wrath, or movies that promoted the NRA and the National Recovery Administration, and all these do-gooder movies of the Third Star is Born. Lisa, did you ever see the original Star is Born? The 1930s one? That was a pretty cool one. Some movies can be too graphic, like Saw movies. I would never classify a Saw movie It's like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You could almost put Chainsaw Massacre into a classic, cult classic category because it was so shocking for its time and the implement of death was so unique. Um, but I liked very clever uh, horror movies like that. Remember that family? I can never remember the name of it. They're driving down this road. It's at nighttime, and they keep re-driving down the same stretch of road. They stop for a while. They look around, send somebody into the woods to look around. The person disappears, and they're back on the road again. Oh man, we just saw this sign. I can't remember what the heck the name was. Shawshank Redemption was a great movie. Why? Because it was a good storyline. Corruption in the prison system and karma. Right? What was the sign that hung over the safe? It was funny. I can't remember what the hell the biblical saying was. It was embroidered. His wife embroidered something. No, I haven't announced it yet. In Cold Blood was good because I want to ask you guys to just watch it first, and then you can do a little review on IMDb and all the movie sites and see what most of these are going to rate very high on Rotten Tomatoes. Some of these are going to be coming right off of Broadway, and they made the transition very successfully to motion picture. Motion picture Amityville. I just can't remember what the name of that movie. What makes Saw scary is that if they think it can be done in contraptions for a movie, it can also be done in real life. But anything could. I could turn you over upside down, suspend you from a rope, take two vehicles between two bumpers. Thank you, Lisa. You've been very kind tonight. Take two bumpers and just crush your head between the two bumpers. I could do that in real life too, right? Something crazy like that. All right. I mean, then you start getting down into what it means to be gangbangers. Yeah, that's it. I love it. Lunar, his judgment cometh, and that right soon. I love that. How ironic it was when the warden opens up that, pulls down that thing and opens that safe and opens that Bible and unbelievable, man. His judgment cometh, and that right soon. Yeah, was that what it's called, Nocturnal? Was it called Dead End, where that family just, they keep driving along on the same stretch of road and some weird lady figure comes out of the woods? It was one of the creepiest movies. And to me, that's the most horrifying movie when it's a very normal circumstance that suddenly goes weird. No big monsters jump out on the road. No space aliens come down. But there's some unexplained phenomena that puts you on the road that you can't figure out what the hell is going on, and you've got to mentally suss your way out of it, and it becomes horrifying after a certain amount of time. You're talking about Dead End. Okay, I think it's probably is Dead End. Seen that movie? That I love Shawshank Redemption because the story is so damn good, and then the acting. Morgan Freeman and um, what's his name performed so beautifully in that movie. Remember when Vic Morrow got his head chopped? Yeah, I do. We were talking about that the other night filming Twilight Zone. It acts shit happens on sets, right? Spilled an entire plate of fruit salad with the juice, and oh my God, I watch. Oh, jeez. Sleep on tonight. Too many late nights. Okay. All right, Libra, you have a good one, honey. When I'm cooking, should I turn my stove fan on? I can't remember. Sorry to go off track. I would just I would always vent out your stove when you're cooking there, so it's pushing outward. In there, Shawshank was full of surprise. And if you're leaving, I do have a link to our first movie to watch in the description box down below tonight. Let me make sure that covered over. It is, yes, it's Arthur Miller's great stage work. And Arthur Miller was married to Marilyn Monroe for years. He got Marilyn Monroe to convert to Judaism for quite a few years. She loved the family life, but after a while, just the pills and stuff burned her out. Arthur Miller wrote a great play, and I'm not going to be a spoiler of the story. It was filmed here in Santa Rosa. It was one of the movies that there's one particular corner, I call it Hollywood in Santa Rosa. 4 different houses on the 4 corners, and 3 of them were used in major motion pictures. This is a very powerful movie. It's very troubling for its time. And the whole theme of this story is, when business comes under pressure and the demands of war production, and people start to cut corners and people die, okay, and how that affects his family, it's a real tragedy, and it became a really classic movie. So you can copy that link. You can watch that for free on the public there. You don't have to watch all the letterboxing around it. You can just expand it so it fills the whole screen, commercial free. And we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that movie next week. It stars Edward G. Robinson in probably his best performance he ever gave. Burt Lancaster is in there, and it's a very powerful story. Kill a Mockingbird, had to read the book. Yeah, Harper Lee. He also did The Crucible. It's an excellent movie. This is, I don't know if he taught, this is not Arthur Miller's dance studio, right? That's a different thing. Arthur Murray, Murray. So I'm going to talk about a little bit about this movie next week and what makes it great. Remember, it's not just the story, it's also the time period that you dare to release this movie. And a lot of people criticize this movie, calling it too gloomy for a time after World War II, when people were optimistic and wanted to be happy. But it's in the description box on today's Hangout down there, so you can copy and save that link. And when you pop into bed, you have an hour and a half, you click that on, you'll see a very powerful movie with some great acting, and the way this family gets torn to smithereens because of the decision to cut a few corners. It ends up tragically costing a lot of lives in war. And you can imagine, without giving the story away, how this affected the family and just ripped everything to shreds. So you probably have never heard of it. It's down in the description box. It's called All My Sons. I believe it was released in 1946 or 1948. It stars Edward G. Robinson, who was probably one of the greatest character actors of the 1930s. Tough guy, usually a boss. Well, let me tell you guys this, you punks. Key Largo and other great movies. Opposite Burt Lancaster as his son. It's a very powerful movie to come to grips with what decision and how your decision affects so many lives, and the way it just rips his family to shreds. It's an interesting movie. It's probably not the genre you're used to seeing, but remember, this screenplay was a blockbuster. This play was a blockbuster on Broadway. It was huge. This was a sensation, and it really is the one piece that launched Arthur Miller into greatness as a playwright, with all his later Death of a Salesman and all that. So it's a very, very good story with very good actors, and it's very, very compelling. It's got some tough scenes to see, but you can see yourself in that same situation. Key Largo was awesome. Yeah, it was a play too. Arthur Miller, it was a huge Broadway play, and that's what made it go over to the theater so well. You will enjoy it. You can also, if you feel like Googling the trailer for All My Sons, you can see that. They've done stage versions of it galore. But I think Arthur Miller had a lot of control about how the movie was produced. And I think it turned out with the actors, the story. It was the first real war movie that dared to talk about the dark side of fueling the war machine, which I think is very interesting. Yep, linking you up so you don't have to do anything. Like I said, I'm looking for free movies and things that was a play too. I love Breakfast at Tiffany. Can't figure out how to share the link. Let me see if I, maybe one of the, let me see if I can pop this here. Let me see if I can copy that. Copy link address. I'm going to see if I can post the link. Right. No, I can't post it. There's too many, it's too big of a thing. So I don't know what to tell you on that, in that regard. It's just the link is too huge in there. So YouTube doesn't really like it when you redirect. Give a birthday kiss. Yeah, baby. Happy birthday, Laura. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Laura. Ooh, happy birthday to you. You can always come back anytime. I'm not going to take down the Hangout. You can always come in and just click on that link and then click it and save it. You can also search a free version online. It's a public domain movie, which I think is pretty good. So we can talk about that. See what you guys think about that movie. I have two other movies, but I also want to take movies that you guys want to talk about. I want to watch them myself and then come back and give you guys, along with your feedback on .com. All My Sons, 1948. Good movie. Tiffany was so iconic to fashion. The influence is incredible and still are. You know that Tiffany's engaged in a major battle now with Louis Vuitton Moet Hennessy. That Louis Vuitton Moet Hennessy wants to get out of their purchase agreement with buying Tiffany's for, like, I don't know, 11 billion bucks or something like that. And now with the pandemic, they're just trying to back away and claiming that by contract, if things went sour or something for whatever reason, they could back out of the deal. I'm loving this idea. I'm looking forward to participating in the discussion. That's great. We'll see how it goes. I'll pick one, and then next week after we discuss it, we'll take a poll and we'll pick one that you guys would like to discuss. Something that you think is a bona fide classic movie, but we'll kind of analyze this from the story point of view. When a really professional storyteller like Arthur Miller sits down and writes a story, he never really produced a dud. He was gifted in storytelling, and it carries over to the movies too. Early on, you mentioned Montgomery Clift, so I watched the documentary. It was so sad. I also watched Red River. Scotty, how you doing, sweetheart? Montgomery Clift was always, he was a very, extremely good-looking guy. And he was always Elizabeth Taylor. Elizabeth Taylor always talked about Montgomery Clift, and how she loved Montgomery Clift. I always thought he was probably a little too fragile for Hollywood, but she loved him. You want a big hug? That's exactly it. A big. Some of the circles I've been housebound, so I've been zooming. Yeah, he was stunning. Very good-looking guy, and had some acting chops. Just like James Dean, I never considered really James Dean. Rebel without a cause, just scream a little bit. I can't take it anymore. It's Thurston Howell the third, right? I can't make Google eyes at Natalie Wood. And, Sal Mineo and the gang over there. So better, yeah, better late than no problem, Jen. So we have the link in there. You guys can check that out and see what you think. Was that a good story? All My Sons, and was it was it groundbreaking for the time? Remember, coming out of World War II, it was really unpatriotic to take a crack at anything that any of the downside of war in the United States effort. But then we know Congress would have hearings and the military would have hearings when substandard shitty parts got in and people died and people went to jail and all that. Yeah, James Dean was just fine and had a badass car. Yeah, I want to take you guys to the scene where he had that collision. He was driving from L.A. up to Salinas to a car. They were doing some car racing up there in Salinas, and just smacked it up on the way up in that place. So check that out. Make sure sometime this week that you, if you have a chance to watch the movie, you can watch it. It's about an hour and a half or so. It's not a long movie, but it's a good story. And a lot of people really consider that Arthur Miller's finest work, even more than Death of a Salesman. So nobody was as beautiful as Elvis on Beat Crew. Ooh, I'm playing a big kiss. There we go. Jen, it's in the description box. Jen, it's called All My Sons. It was a stage play that was written by Arthur Miller, who was at one time married to Marilyn Monroe. And he was probably, at his time, the greatest living American playwright that was around. Montgomery Clift is buried in an obscure cemetery. Yes, he was very appealing. So check it out. If you have a chance to see it, it's no big deal. We're not going to spend a lot of time because if we go forward with this, we're going to be picking some of the things. We're going to be alternating to take a vote and see which movie you want us to really drill down on, some of the aspects that make it great. We'll read some reviews. I'll read some reviews of All My Sons. What did the critics say? What did they say on Broadway? How was it received by the public? And we'll look into all aspects of, maybe some of the feedback from what some of the actors thought. And I give the actors a lot of credit for taking on topics that, Edward Reed G. Robinson was tremendous for. He didn't give a crap about playing a bad guy, the heavy, the guy you love to hate on, him and George Raft. They didn't give a damn. They would play the heavy, and if you hated his guts, you hated his guts. That's the way it is. No, the movie's dramatic. The movie is it's truthful in the sense that you always think of your parents as on a pedestal, like they're virtuous and they're above any kind of. You always think they live in Candyland, like it's perfect, and then you get older and that veneer is ripped away, and sometimes some very terrible things come to light. So this makes it a very good. And I'll remind people a couple times. Oh, Laura, you're so sweet, honey. Movie night at Rosie's Boarding House. There you go, Genevieve. We can set up the old film projector. We can have, what's up, Anderson? We can have Cyanide Cupcake come out and do a little shimmy before we roll the movie. The refreshment bar is now open. Who's the greatest male actor of all time? Some people would say Sir Laurence Olivier. Okay, would probably be considered perhaps the greatest male actor of all time. Other people would say Marlon Brando. Other people would say Richard Burton. Okay, Some people would say Jimmy Stewart. Some people would say John Wayne. It's going to be all over the map in terms of who was the greatest. It's one of those things that's up for debate. Nice to see you, Genevieve. That's a great idea. You like this one, so pick it for us. I did pick it, Rhonda. It's in the description box, and then next week we'll see how it goes. We'll do. I'll come back with some research, and we'll see how this movie was received by the public. What was the downside of it? What did people like, and what didn't people like, and why it is kind of revered today as a classic movie. Clark Gable, Johnny Depp, because he's so versatile. I would say Daniel Day-Lewis. I would have to, if I'm comparing all time, Anderson, Henderson, I have to kind of put Daniel Day-Lewis is, there's acting and then there's, to me, there's like beyond. I mean, it's just like a whole different level of acting. When I first saw him in Last of the Mohicans, which was a very physical, bloody, I mean, God, it was a grotesque movie at parts, but he was so skilled and he was such a great actor in that movie that really made an impression on me. Then to see him, My Left Foot, and then There Will Be Blood, he's such a great method actor that just the role just takes over him. Yeah, Daniel Day-Lewis. Daniel Day-Lewis is the right thing to say. I think he's pretty good. I think he's very gifted. It never even looks like he has to work at acting, and he's just so good. He went overseas for Ireland for 5 years. He didn't even act in a movie. He just cleared out. He just cleared his head out. Let's calm down and not make it weird. Johnny Depp always plays Johnny Depp, which is fine, but it's not transformative. Um, Johnny Depp was the kind of guy that would seek out, I think, unusual Edward Scissorhands and roles that were defined by how different the character was, and working with Leonardo DiCaprio and What's Eating Gilbert Grape, and being able to play off, be the big brother, and he took a lot of very diverse roles. Last of the Mohicans, my all-time fave, definitely fave. Last of the Mohicans just kicked me in the head. That movie, I wasn't expecting the violence, but I would think that pretty much mirrored the reality. It wasn't a sanitized history of confrontations between Native Americans and settlers. Hey Vicky, how are you doing? Yeah, the roles always suited Johnny Depp. Done many characters. Yeah, he has done 15 minutes for my birthday. Yeah, Rosie Shag. 15 minutes in The Little Rascal, right? Oh man. Yeah, weird gets you the naughty. Philip Seymour Hoffman was a great actor too. I don't remember what that movie was that he played with Meryl Close, where he was a priest and suspected of pedophilia. And I remember I used his classic speech about, because Boyd was so full of gossip, and he knew that people were gossiping in the church because of Meryl Streep was talking about people. Is this guy like touchy-feely with kids and things like that? It never really got determined, but he stood up at the pulpit and gave said like gossip is like, he tells the old story of the woman came in and said, I feel so bad, Father. She's making her confession and wants to clear her soul. I feel so bad. I've been a gossip, and I've probably hurt a lot of people along the way. So I'd like forgiveness for being a gossip. And he said to her, gossip is like when you take a pillowcase full of feathers and you just dump it out into the wind. and those feathers go everywhere. And he said, gossip, to really clear up things and gossip the damage that's been done, you'd have to go find every one of those little feathers that blew into the wind and put them back in the bag again. That's how damaging gossip is. 15 Minutes at Midnight, Devil's Advocate. Yeah, that movie was called Doubt. Did anybody see that movie, Doubt? That was a pretty good movie. That was impressive. I'll admit I've never been a big Meryl Streep. Probably because there were so many movies that she did in the 80s. I guess I overloaded 80s and 90s, but Philip Seymour Hoffman was great in that movie. Yeah, it was Doubt. That was a good movie. That was a good movie. It's very apropos for the times too that we live in, with all the touchy feely and all the uh, Epstein and all the crap that's going on, and Weinstein's, Epstein's, and all that kind of crap. Bunch of BS. I've seen all of his movies. I think I think you would agree. Like when we watch movies, we like certain, like if we're looking at a movie guide or we're just thinking, hey, would be a good movie to watch, and you see like an actor and you're already halfway sold on the movie. Like if I see Jimmy Stewart in a movie, right? I'm gonna click it on. Maybe it's Lost Horizon, The Phoenix. I mean, he did so many movies, Strategic Air Command, so damn many movies that he did. You know, it's probably going to be a pretty good flick, so you're already preconditioned to half like him. Yeah, I already like this guy anyway, so he can't do any wrong in these movies. Looks just like Michael Landon. He died the same age. Somewhere in time, that was sad that guy that ended up being a paraplegic, and guy that played Christopher Reeve, right? And uh, Seymour, James Seymour, right? Do 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 do. Oh, Valentino, huh? I hope we've moved on from the 50s. We're actually in the 40s right now, boss. We're actually in the 40s, and there's your assignment for the week. It's down in the description box. Just copy and paste that link and watch it at your leisure. Cyanide cold shower. And I'll remind people a couple times during the week as we get closer to Monday to make sure you carve out a little bit of time to watch that movie. I have a good memory, yeah. Or somebody told me in one of my comments today, "You're so full of shit." That's it. It sure doesn't help. Yeah, public domain. Thank you, Jen. Jen, there's the movie Somewhere in Time. Oh yes, there are definitely actors. I will watch without hesitation. Probably because to a large extent, Moxie, it's because you sort of have an idea that the actor or actress could really choose. They weren't under contract with the studio. They could choose to do that to movies. So it must be something that they feel fits them, fits their personality or their skills to pull off that role. The music was Somewhere in Time was awesome. Yeah, I have a couple silent movies too, but we'll ping pong it back and forth. If there's next week, we'll find a movie you guys want to talk about. The movies, if you look at the description box of the Hangout, Laura, you'll see a link to a movie. It's called All My Sons, starring Edward G. Robinson and Burt Lancaster, and it was groundbreaking in that it was the first movie that examined war on the home front and some of the really shitty things that contractors and some people did during wartime for profit and survival. So the kid, all the black and whites would just be on, so you didn't have to make, but you enjoyed the movie. Yeah, It's in Chicago. They got lots of awards. If you look at the description box down below the hangout here on the underneath of the large screen, you'll see I have a link down there to All My Sons, and it gives you a chance to just directly link to the movie. It doesn't cost anything to watch. And then next Monday we'll talk about it and see what you guys think about it. And then we'll pick a movie you guys want to talk about. So, Apocalypto. Was that the? Yeah, I'm not sure. What's the movie? It's. Yeah, pay attention. These gals, their hormones are getting the best of them tonight. Their hormones are raging tonight. Have you ever heard of the playwright Arthur Miller? Laura, he did Death of a Salesman. I think he did Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, and he did this when this was his first big smash success, which was All My Sons. Somewhere in Time with Christopher Reeve. Yeah, actually, people couldn't tell the difference when they stood side by side. That's it. Yeah, please watch the movie and we can talk about it. And then we'll pick a movie that you like. I'll even shell out the $1.99 if I have to. To do that. Yeah, remember the show My Three Sons? This is All My Sons. Is this? Yeah, Jen's been posting the link. All you have to do is copy and paste that. It's in the public domain. It doesn't cost anything. And I think it's a very powerful movie. It was filmed here in Santa Rosa, one of 3 of 4 homes on one corner of the city. You had the original Scream with Neve Campbell was filmed on this corner. Across the street this way, you had the hell was the Alfred Hitchcock Shadow of a Doubt right across the street, and then across the street from that you had the house from All My Sons, and then down the street you had the house from the hell was that movie called with Haley Mills? I can't even remember what the hell the name of it was. I don't know. One on down there. Birthday Hormones, baby. There's the link, Joe Black. You can see My Three Sons on. Yeah, all those things. Yeah, Miller did the Misfits exactly, and people kind of cursed him for writing that because that brought Marilyn Monroe in on her last legs. She couldn't get up to go on set. She was just a mess. Clark Gable's old. He's already got heart problems. He's out in the heat. And they figured that was the movie that put him into his grave, trying to work around the schedule of Marilyn Monroe and her inability to function and to be on schedule. And it tore people up out there. Make our own movie. I'm always localized. I love that. Shadow of a Doubt, another excellent classic. So much wonderful. And I've got many times I've visited those. I have a video. It's called Hollywood in Santa Rosa that shows the exterior of all these homes. Alfred Hitchcock loved filming in this county. He filmed Shadow of a Doubt. He filmed the birds in the county. He loved coming up here because the crows were so screwed up. You like that, Laura? You like to have a little nookie time as a cinematic experience, huh? Right. Yeah, he died 3 weeks later. Yeah, I think if you look at the Misfits, the making of the movie The Misfits, and being in the heat and the desert and having a star that just screws up the whole movie schedule, and you drink a little bit and you already have heart trouble. If you look at what Eli Wallach was in that movie too, the guy that played Tuco, the ugly and the good, the bad, and the ugly, he had a lot of things to say about how difficult it was to work with Marilyn Monroe and what a toll it took on Clark Gable. 12 Angry Men, I did it in high school. My interest, 12 Angry Men is a great one. That's that's what really introduced Jack Klugman to the American film and TV scene. Was that Joe DiMaggio loved Marilyn Monroe? Few wonderful. Oh, please don't time out Laura. She's a good friend here. Hey, Ilva, how are you? So we all have favorite movies. We're going to try to drill down on what some critics consider real classic movies. Some of them will be tear jerkers. Most of them will be ones that you probably haven't heard about before, but it does not mean that they're not classic in the sense of being. You can watch them today and derive just as much enjoyment out of them as if you were watching them at the time that they came out. Yeah, I'm thinking movie, and I got a couple charged up horny gals in the chat. Going to know people better. Yes, you are. I'm going to get something to drink real quick. I'll be back, and then we'll open up the chat a little bit wider tonight because it's been a fun time. So I certainly encourage you guys too, if you have specific movies that have really made a deep impression on you, that you think could be classified as classic movies, it would be kind of cool to discuss them too. Thank you, Lisa. I love you too, honey. She's having a good birthday. She's having her birthday tonight. Have a good time. Open wider. I guess horny is a state of mind, right? I don't know. It's all right. There's worse things in the world these days, right? When a man loves a woman. There'll be some movies I'm going to suggest over the coming months. They'll be rather risque. They'll be rather groundbreaking, some of which could not be produced in the United States, and some of which at the time of their release were blocked from the United States and had to be very heavily edited and censored. And even then, it was 30, 40 years later till they could be released in the United States. But they're recognized for their view on the things that people dared not talk about, the realities of contemporary society that people brushed under the rug, so to speak. Father Goose was a good one, yeah. River of No Return, yeah, that's a good one too. Have you ever gotten into old time radio? Yeah, I listened to E.G. Marshall would have Mystery Theater. E.G. Marshall was a very good actor and a radio host. I was really more interested in talk shows and some of the earliest nationwide talk shows like the Nightcaps, and came out of Salt Lake City, Utah. Herb Jepko in the 1960s and 70s and things like that. The Snake Pit was a good one. Yeah, the Snake Pit was Olivia de Havilland always said the Snake Pit was her favorite movie that she ever made because it was a portrayal of insanity and the dark descent into losing your mind. Snakes on a Plane. I always remember the trailers. There's so many goddamn snakes on the plane. Yeah, CBS Mystery Theater with their host E.G. Marshall. Oh, the influence film has had on us even. That's why, Moxie, how you doing, Sapphire Blue? Nice to see you, sweetie. That's why J. Edgar Hoover and the FBI in the 1930s was so alarmed with the trend that Hollywood was taking. When they had the production of Tarzan, and I don't know who the gal was that played, they were fully nude when they were swimming, taking a swim in the jungle, the underwater scenes and things like that. that nudity. And since that passed and was allowed to go, people really started to press forward with more and more risque things in the movies. Jean Harlow, and she started with Clark Gable in some movie where she was in the jungle with him, and some crazy ass movie. But things got very out of control. And then, of course, the Catholic Church got totally alarmed at, my God, what are we putting up on the screen these days? And it was always that connection, Lisa, like you said, of the influence, or Moxley, the potential influence it would have on society. And can we not say the same thing today with the proliferation of video, of gaming and the gaming communities? And most of the gaming has it as its objective shooting and killing, or mayhem, and GTA 5, GTA 6, and all that. We can sort of see that you could have some diminishment of the value of potentially what life is out there, and lose your bearing of what's acceptable in society. Yeah, it's a very politically changed, yeah, just instantly hide that dork. What did Elvis say about King of All Things? He said he was. If you ever saw Laverne and Shirley, remember Squiggy, the real little guy? That's what Elvis called King of All Things. Looked like Squiggy off of Laverne and Shirley. Uh, we're gonna make it. Give us any phone books to sit on. Give us any soapbox to stand on. We'll be 5'2" for me and you. You like the Lucy Ball. Lucy Ball did some very good stuff with Henry Fonda in the 1930s. She was one of Ziegfeld's girls. She was considered very beautiful, very long legs, very lean lines, and they never knew when they got married, right, to Desi Arnaz, how a Cuban would go over on TV. They were very worried about that. That they didn't know if they didn't know how it would go over with a Caucasian woman marrying a Cuban, and having that featured on TV. They really sweated that out. Really sweated that out. Poor Ava Gardner, she drank herself to death. I was just having fun, and I was saying I loved Abby Conley. Well, they're just trying to keep us on point tonight, Laura. But thank you. And I don't second guess my mods, but yeah, I want to just take it easy tonight. It is your birthday, but yeah, we'll definitely meet up. Oh man, the big trailer. What a great movie. Wasn't it the yeah, the big trailer or something? Always love that scene where they're going back to visit Lucille Ball's family after the long honeymoon, whatever. And Ricky goes to back up the trailer. And the woman and her father and mother have been talking about how they love their prize roses out on the trellis outside. He takes that trailer and just takes out he takes off that whole lattice and that whole alcove underneath of the parking spot. I love that stuff. Have you ever seen the movie Bad Seed? Bad Seed. I recently, let me refresh. I know I saw Bad Seed recently. Let me just, I just saw that recently. And I also just saw 1931's The Bad Sister with Betty Davis. Let me see. I know I saw The Bad Seed. Yeah, I might have not have seen that 1965 psychological horror. I'm gonna have to check that out. I'm gonna have to check that out. I got that bookmarked. Probably because there weren't really any big superstars. Nancy Kelly, Patty McCormick, Gage Clark, Jesse White. Let's see. A housewife suspects that her seemingly perfect 80-year-old daughter is a heartless killer. Yeah, that would be a pretty freaky realization to come to, right? I should say, yeah, Jesse White was the guy that played the Maytag repairman for a lot of years. Nominated for 4 Oscars. This is what somebody said back in 2001. My daughter Rachel always found this the most frightening movie she ever saw. And from a psychological perspective, it's easy to see why. Patty McCormick is a magnificent and charming but evil first grader. Nancy Kelly is terrific in some scenes but almost comically overwrought in others. As Rhonda's gradually terrified mother. Interesting. This is a characters I've never forgotten from the moment I first saw the movie. They gave it an 8 out of 10. Critic reviews. Yeah, there's a lot of reviews there, so we'll see. Should say Mrs. Murphy School. Hey Sean, how you doing? We're just kind of bullshitting a little bit tonight and talking about what makes a classic movie, and just going to try to pick a movie a week and dedicate. Let me fix this camera. We'll dedicate, 1 hour the following Monday before we go to open chat. We'll talk about that movie and then pick a new one. Yes, Alan Gold. All right, Laura, well, have a good birthday. Those donkeys flying with the pigs. Yeah. I can't control everything that happens on Planet Rosie here. Hello, it's Mindy May there, so. All right, so we are now in open chat. We can continue to talk about the movies. Thank you, Laura. And Jen has the link for the movie. If you care to join in the discussion next week, next Monday, try to start at the same time, around 7:30 on the West Coast. And after about a half hour, we'll tear into that movie for about a half hour or so, and then we'll talk about movies in general. And then we'll move in, try to pick a next movie for the following week to talk about. So, Jay Oliver says, I prefer older movies. I find that new movies are general remakes of old ones in one way or another. And I would agree with that, Jay. Because now I think that studios operate more of a fear of losing money than an optimism in making money. Okay? In other words, up until maybe 1990, a lot of the movies that came out, they weren't franchise movies. They were groundbreaking. The first Star Wars, Close Encounters of the First Kind. You can find so many other Woody Allen movies. So many movies broke new ground. And then they have one that becomes a mega hit. And then suddenly all the resources of the studio are massed around that franchise, and creativity starts to fall by the wayside. We've had such an influx of superhero Avengers and Iron Man and blah blah. It's just so many over the last 15 years. The Batmans, the Joker. Something's got to break the mold and be innovative on this. So, Kill Bill 2. Do 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 la do 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 social justice warrior message. I don't know. I don't get anything out of it. It just seems to be an exercise in CGI. Who can create this coolest special effects, and the story has almost become You know, the storyline is just, it's not what it used to be. Very commercial, and send it off to DVD to make more money. Yeah, let's take it easy, ladies. Let's just pull back from the edge. Everybody's welcome. Virtual reality movies, green screen movies, for real. It's all computerized movies. Is a guide to go to the theater. Exactly. Exactly. So what happens is special effects come to the fore. Oh, that was cool when that thing blew up, or when that San Andreas, when that earthquake hit San Francisco and California. Man, that was really wild, and the flooding and blah blah blah. But the movie was built around special effects. The storyline was just an afterthought. Well, we want to showcase this technology, so let's put a story around it. So. They don't want to piss off China either. Watch a movie called, I've seen The Blob, Jay. I saw The Blob, and the other movie was that I've told you guys about was a movie called The Tingler. And I want to make sure that that was yeah, The Tingler was a 1959 film. Y'all like Vincent Price, right? Dr. Warren Chapin, Vincent Price, has made a surprising discovery. The spine-chilling sensation that people get when scared is due to a parasite that he dubs the tingler. The doctor concludes that in extreme circumstances, prolonged fear can cause this creature to damage a person's spine and even cause death if the victim can't scream. A theory that Oliver Higgins uses to deadly effect on his wife. Soon, the tingler that killed the woman is on the loose. That was a pretty wild movie, man. The Tingler. Y'all probably never heard of that. When the scream screams, you'll scream too if you value your life. I remember watching that in the theater, and the girls screaming and hollering when the movie suddenly looked like it stopped threading through and it was just white on the screen. And all of a sudden came this like centipede thing up the screen, and it's the tingler, and everybody started screaming. Ah! Yeah, the Blob was Steve McQueen. I think was in the Blob. I was in the Blob, like, but never saw the Tingler. Yeah, the Tingler is a kind of you had a Tingler. The Tingler, Moxie says the Tingler. I stumbled into a rerun of that when I was 6 and was hooked on scary movie. Vacillated between being hooked and sleeping on my mom's bedroom floor because I was scared. I just remember. Distinctly being in the Hamden movie theater in kind of the redneck side of Baltimore, and just in the Hamden theater and watching watching all the girls in the theater that Saturday just screaming, and some of them running out the door of the theater. And I got up and looked around to see if anybody left any like popcorn. See if any boxes with popcorn had been left on the seats when the stampede went to leave the theater. That looks all right. The Tingler. I just had tinglers in my life, and I screamed too. There you go. The Breakfast Club. When Burt Reynolds jumped the flaming chicken over the softball field, can you imagine? Yeah, CGI, exactly. Big man or big man, how much do you think, what do you guys think about music in a movie, the scoring? Because, as you know, Max Steiner dominated a lot of movies to the 1930s, most famously known for Gone with the Wind, and then The Promise of Tomorrow. There were so many movies that he scored in Hollywood that I sometimes try to imagine. Take a movie like Gone with the Wind, which is often fluctuating between the number one movie of, what's the greatest movie of all time, with Citizen Kane and Gone with the Wind. take away the movie, take away the music, and is it the same movie? Is it the same movie? Like Citizen Kane, you can't remember any of the music in Citizen Kane. So you take away you take away the music, and yes, the movie holds up just as well with any other orchestral light ambient soundtrack laid into it. Hey Lisa, yeah, it was a good weekend. I watched your whole restaurant reviews. Yeah, that really. Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that. When it's right, music is absolutely essential. The score can make or break. That's exactly right. The Body Snatcher, 1940, exactly. Fiddly dee dee, yeah, Gone with the Wind. Well, 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 who shall I go to the barbecue with? Well, Miss Charlotte, please go with me. I've been asking you for the last 3 months. Well, I don't know. Or when to pick. Yeah. It's not the same. The music is an entire additional layer to some films. And I just try to imagine, I think to me, yeah, John Williams was a great composer. Um, Henry Mancini, the theme from the Pink Panther, Moon River, a lot of those great scores. Kind of things. You take away the movie from like you take the music away, the Lonely Shepherd by Zamfir, and is Kill Bill the same movie without that musical score from the Lonely Shepherd? I like when Missy Jen drives. She sounds like a lead foot. Man, she would fly. Missy Jen had a lead foot. Had a lead foot. Patricia, you have a question? Go ahead. Yeah, if the music isn't good, you can hang it up. Exactly. But the music has to kind of match. Do 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 do. Hey Jay Holly. Do 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 do. La dee la da do 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 do. Now we take it a little lighter. Do 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 do. Do do. Thank you, Craig. Do do. Ooh, boom. Do 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 do. I just think if you took away the music from Gone with the Wind and the scoring, it would greatly diminish that motion picture. Whereas if you take the music away from Citizen Kane and there is no music identifiable as soundtrack music that would ever be standalone commercially viable music. Do do do. Brand breaking now. Lisa Marie is back on the breaking news. Lisa Marie is on the back of a tow truck. Well, it is what it is. Nice to see you, Ross. Roscoe, hope you're doing good, my friend. Did you sing to your kids when they were small? I guess until I sang to my children until each of them began to talk, and at around age 2 would specifically request that I just not sing anymore around them. So in light of that early request, oft repeated, I would sing little nursery rhymes and things like that. I was big on reading. When my kids could barely sit up, I would take 2 pillows on the couch, and I would prop them up so they wouldn't fall over, and we would sit there and read books, and we would go to the library every week and pick out books I guess for the first 12 years of their life. And I always believe reading is so critical to as a great foundation of learning and things, that I always drilled very hard on reading and attention for schoolwork and things like that. Nice to see you, Roscoe. Let me know when you head. Oh, you'll definitely know, Laura. You'll know real time where I am. We'll go out and get, like I said, I don't know what your favorite cuisine is. I don't know if it's Italian. I don't know if it's seafood. but I would like to buy you, some dinner and hang out and have a good time down in Daytona. I think that that would be awesome. Sang a lot of Janis Joplin. We have decided on movie yet. Yes, Craig, if you look at the description box down below underneath of the YouTube window where you're seeing me, you will see a link to the movie. It's called All My Sons. It stars Edward G. Robinson, the great character actor, and Burt Lancaster as the two leads. And it was the first of the post-war movies to realistically take a look at some of the shenanigans that went on in the home front, a little bit of cheating in war production. And sometimes when you cut a few corners, lives get lost. And this is the story of the way a family was tragically torn apart with the deeds of the dad to cut a few corners and the fallout, the shockwaves that it had on the family. It was written by Arthur Miller, the great playwright, who at one time was married to Marilyn Monroe. So probably one of the greatest American playwrights. Yeah, there's the link, so you can copy and save that, Craig, or you can refer that back to any time during the week. You got a whole week. I'll mention it several times, and then for 20 minutes, a half hour, next week we'll talk about it, and then roll on to what the next thing is. Reading's the best thing for children. I always did that. If you can make your kids an adept at reading, they can grasp any concept of mathematics, chemistry, physics, foreign language, just so many things. The Monday night stream started. Yeah, it starts around 7:30, and then we dig down 7:30 Pacific Daylight Savings Time, and then we drill down maybe about 8 o'clock. We get into the meat of it. We talk about stuff during the week, and did anybody get a chance to see it, and all that. So. You're very welcome, Craig. Thank you. I sang to my babies. I love taking the girls to the library and just getting them into the habit of course, they'd always grab 10 books and read 3 in a week, but it was nice that they were eager. So happy. You begged for my son 3 years before. Lisa, you're cute. Yeah, thank you, Prince Noob. We'll just see how it goes. I don't want this to be all about me. I want to get your ideas too. I want to get your input, and then we'll do a little fast informal vote. We'll put 5 movies up for a vote, and we'll just do an informal tally in the chat, and we'll pick the number 1 one. Now remember, we're trying to find something that's not necessarily what might be a personal favorite of yours, but something that you think is a movie that stands the test of time, either because of the screenplay, the cinematography, the musical scoring, the acting, the setting, the pacing, all of those things together that you believe come together to create something that will stand the test of time. Yeah, The Jerk. Yeah, that's right. Love the movie night idea. Lots of movie. Yeah, we do have a lot of movie busts, and it's not necessarily the 30s. Be looking at some silent movie from 1929. There'll be movies that I'm trying to get things in the public domain, so everybody doesn't have to drop $1 or $2 to watch a movie. Maybe you guys feel different, but we'll see. Try to make things cheap. Yeah. Yeah, remember, Riff, reading is fundamental. Remember, it is, Ace Carson. Watch the movie. Yeah, you got all week to check that out. And if you're enjoying the chat tonight and you like the idea, let's get a thumbs up here. Rosie, one channel had a movie called Ford Trader, Thorn Salesman. Okay, check that out. Check that out. My grandmother started her own library book club. Met once we 6 classes, mates for the last 3. Had to end it because of the pandemic. They played charades. That's nice, Moxie. I have 2 girls. They're not girls. They're one is almost 30. They're long gone and long out on their careers. So and the other is 26, I believe. Long grown up. Yeah, thank you for the thumbs. What did Mouse put? I missed what Mouse said. Young from Frankenstein, Roland A. We're looking for things that are really, that stand the test of time. That it's not necessarily the movie that you think is your favorite, but a movie that you think would defines what Hollywood should be when it wants to make something that people enjoy. Like, how did Gone with the Wind become, with $1.7 billion of franchise worldwide sales? What was it that propelled it to that position? Especially since it's a movie that what is over 80 years old now, coming on 80 over 80 years old. Wolfpack Brothers, I think I have heard of that. Yeah. What's up, Sean? We're just talking about movies and what makes a classic flick a classic. Be interested. Sean cut his teeth on a lot of British cinema, and the UK has some very renowned production companies over there in the UK too. That the Laurence Olivier's, the really stoic British school, Vivian Leigh, and all the traditional Royal Theatre acting companies, and all of them came out of. Yeah, came out in 1939, so it's it's about 80 years old, 81 years old, and it's stood the test of time, right? I love British cinema. British cinema is it's much more thought out. You have Sir Alex Guinness, like on the bridge over the River Kwai, and so many of the tremendous British actors that came over to the Leslie Howards, the people that came over. Yeah, Olivia had de Havilland. Yeah, yeah. Pinewood Studios was one. They also had Arthur Rankin, where the sweaty guy would hit the gong. Yeah, Pinewood Studios played together in that one. Yeah. Susan Hayward was amazing. Yeah, she was good. She was always very peppy, but Rita Hayworth just was like the carnival thing. You slam down the mallet, ding. Rita Hayworth, my bell went all the way up to the top for Rita Hayworth, and bing. Military picks. I'm not the girly movie so much. Did any of you guys ever, Hollywood would find its way when the Great Depression came and unwound. You would think that movies are reflectors at a time, but there were very few movies made in real time about the misery that people were going through in the Great Depression. 20% unemployment, no Social Security, no welfare. There was nothing. So Hollywood, instead of sort of magnifying that misery, they went in the other direction, like the Gold Diggers of 1933 and the Big Broadcast in 1938. And you had all of those Busby Berkeley musicals where he would have the top-down camera view of the stars making the dancers making complicated patterns down below, and he would synchronize hundreds of dancers with mirrors behind, and all kinds of just super huge productions. It's almost like the worse the times got, the more extravagant the Hollywood became. The movies to escape their misery, exactly. Susan Hayward and I Want to Live, yeah. Yeah, Pinewood at a gong and rank, rank organization or something like that. Bing. Let me see something here. Let me see something. Yeah, remember that iconic picture of the guy that would hit the gong for the rank organization? That was it. Hi, Dave. How you doing? Good to see you, Dave. Rank, I thought was Pinewood. I thought Rank was a separate organization. There were several. There were probably 3 or 4 major British production companies over there, and they did more. They would be more mainline classic movies, like the Christmas Carol, the Dickens novels, all of that kind of thing. They would bring to life with, like, remember great Charles Naughton, who played the Hunchback of Notre Dame in the first one, and he also played, I think, in the first Scrooge movie as Scrooge, Charles Lawton. I just remember when I was very young, my parents going through hard times with everybody never complaining. I never heard them complain or talk about it. Yeah, at that time, parents tried to kind of shield their kids from the realities of, they wouldn't have adult talk until, like, my parents never would have dreamed of, we didn't have a lot of money, but they wouldn't discuss that kind of topic around the kids. As we got older and it became time to go to college, and then there's no money, then it's a different, well, you're going to have to, good luck, son, you'll work something out. Higher education is a beautiful thing. Spank me silly. That's it. Kind of hits the dong summon. Yeah, that's it. So I never remember those conversations either. But um, it just seemed to me parenting was much more on point back then than it is today. Today it's much more, I think, of a crapshoot because of all the diversions of society, the internet, social media. There's so many things today that have more influence over kids growing up than parents do. I can say that in my day. Social media is so pervasive now that it's the number one influencer, I believe. Drive-in theater, they're going to refurbish. Yeah, they're going to need to refurbish them. Yep, yep, yep. I'm going to grab myself a yogurt. La dee da da, da dee da da, da dee da da, do 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 do, ba dee, boo boo boo, boo boo ba do 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 do, boom do 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 do. Da dee da da. Boo boo doo 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 doo. I haven't had yogurt in a while. I got my Yoplait Light blueberry. Yes, you need a proper beating, Alan Gold. Yes, you do. Um, Buttons, give it that extra sting, huh? You guys are nuts. It's good to see Alan Gold around. I never thought in all the years I've known Gold that I would ever say that, right? Abbott and Costello, Three Stooges. I still think that was one of the greatest comedies that I ever saw. And the first award that they ever gave for an Oscar, the Academy Award for a comedy short, was Laurel and Hardy for the 1932 comedy short called The Piano, where they found a place down in Echo Park near Silver Lake in LA. And it was a place that had this set of stairs that was probably, I don't know, 300 stairs up the side of the hill, and they're down at the bottom and they got to get this piano up the steps, and it was it was a friggin' riot. And they finally go through all this mayhem and crap and get it to the top, and the guy pulls up in a truck and, hey man, you could have just driven up here, you didn't have to pull it up the steps, you idiots. BDSM and silent. I don't know about the BDSM. I was never, I'm more of the frilly lace satin. You know that sign, that cupcake, the baby dolls, and all that kind of thing. Hey J.A., how are you? Do do. Yeah, it's very different today, Craig. Parents, I believe, today have very little influence over how their kids come out in the end. I really firmly believe that. Charlie Chaplin, yeah, I love the piano. You guys should see that. It's available for free. It's only about 10 minutes long, and it is so funny to see this piano come barreling down and slide over top of Oliver Hardy. It's really, really funny. When Rosie talks, I swear I could listen for hours. Oh, the Rock on Tour. Thank you, Jay Oliver. You're very sweet. A lot of people would like to take duct tape and put me in a corner and tape my mouth up, right? We're officially old Rosie, and being a youth in society is it really is a whole new ball game. But yeah, got to shake it up though. But you really are as young as you feel, and I'm kind of coming out of my summertime down feeling right now. I'm starting to feel really chipper and happy, and maybe things are getting better. So I'm getting kind of excited, feeling a little frisky, right? So getting over that funk. Yeah, Sam Elliott was great. Rosie, think of movies back and silent movies today. I have two silent movies that I hope to put forward over the coming weeks. Um, just because they were so controversial, just because they defined such a such an epic watershed in not just the movie itself, but the way that people interacted with the Hollywood machine, and some stars that chose to flip the bird and say, I'm not going to, screw you. I'm not going down on your casting couch. The Piano. Great music. Great movie. The Piano with Holly Hunter. What made that movie incredible was the setting of that. The I don't know how to describe it. The strangeness of shipping a piano all the way to New Zealand and stuff. It was just almost outrageous to see this piano just sitting on the beach. And I mean, it was a movie where the setting and it just wrapped the movie so well. That movie. Feeling the Roads. There we go. Do you have a prediction on the presidential election? Barring some huge, I'm thinking that Trump's chances are improving. I'm at the point now where I'm going to go beyond just a 50-50 now, and I'm going to say there's probably a little bit of better than even chance that Trump will be reelected coming up, because I sense this sort of pushback against uh, weakness in cities and other things, and people want to have a little bit of more law and order, and they want a little bit of a crackdown and things, I believe. 6.4 earthquake. Yeah, did we have a 6.4 earthquake? Is that what we had? Yeah, Genevieve. Well, I've noticed you got good taste in moo. You're a very smart cookie, Genevieve. Mm. So that's just what I'm thinking. I could be wrong, but I think Clump. My thought is, and this is not to piss Jan off or anyone. I got moderators on both sides of the coin, and you got them the middle of the road. A lot can change between now and election day, but some ground has been made up. I'm not a really big pro advocate of Trump. I'm not a really disrespectful. I'm the kind of person, if you get elected to the presidency, then you have my respect and you have my support, no matter who you are. 4 more years of The Apprentice. I just don't know, Ace. You know, I don't know. I think some of the Democrats wish there was a stronger Democrat candidate, but it is what it is. Abbott and Costello, they were always fun, yeah. And I liked Laurel and Hardy because it was a twosome, and they were a little less slapstick and a little more like Hal Roach Studios, and when they'd be out there on a building site and trying to put a roof on a house or something, just funny as hell. Some of the stuff they did. Yeah, Scott says I refuse to say my political views. I try to be Jen. I try to be down on the middle because I'm just politics is like a no-win on YouTube. Even if a president not your choice, it does no good to anyone to not make them. That's the way I feel. Like once you're in that office, you have my 100% support, and we have to stand by our duly elected president. So. Okay, Moxie. Well, we shall see. Moxie Vintage is another smart cookie in here. I got a lot of high caliber cerebral people here tonight. Yeah, there's a link. Jen's posting that. It's also in the description box down below if you choose to come back in the week. I will at various points on morning uploads or other hangouts. Might be on the road real soon. Then just reminding people, hey, check it out, and we'll talk next Monday about this first movie. And then we're not going to spend a ton of time on it, but just to get some feedback. What do you think was the good? What do you think was the bad of the movie? What did you think of the storyline? What did you think of the acting in it? Did it break any new ground? Good night, Sugarcane. Love you. Yeah, where in the hell? Yeah, how you doing, prepping? Where in the hell is David been from the news unit? Where in the hell has he been? Silkwood was a good one. Remember Norma Ray with Sally Field? Norma Ray. Remember An Officer and a Gentleman? Lou Gossett Jr. made that movie. And Richard Gere. Good movie. They lift us up where we belong. Ooh, I love that final scene when he comes through and picks her up off the factory floor. I mean, isn't that every gal's dream that Prince Charming comes in and rescues you from the garment mill or whatever the hell it is? They lift us up where we belong. where the eagles fly on the mountainside. Ooh, yeah, they're all great movies, weren't they? I thought An Officer and a Gentleman was very well done. I thought The Deer Hunter, too, won an Academy Award. The Shock of the Deer Hunter, early De Niro, early, I can't remember the other, Walken, Christopher Walken. That was a hell of a movie. That was a real grimy, dirty flick. Early Meryl Streep. That was a hell of a movie. Gigolo movie. I'm just a gigolo, and everywhere I go. Love the movie. I've never fully been able to get behind River, the factory worker's dream in that small seaside town with no future. Exactly. To marry a flyer, Deer Hunter, brilliant performance by Christopher Walken. That was a hell of a movie. That made that scene where they're in the Vietnamese prison camp and they're playing Russian roulette there. That was one of the tensest scenes that I've ever seen in motion picture history when they're playing Russian roulette. Urban Cowboy was good too. They're laughing at you out there. They're laughing at you. Yeah, the 70s and early 80s. Yeah, Christopher Walken, he had a very high skill set, but there was always something chilling about him. Maybe it was his very pale, very narrow face features. I don't know what it was. There was just something always very chilling about Christopher Walken. They lift us up where we belong, where the eagles fly on the mountainside. Ooh, la ba 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 ba, la ba ba ba. What is this? I've got another piece of news. Let me click on this. What is that? Oh, okay. All right. Just looking at that, it looks like he destroyed the generator box on the back. So I guess when it rains, it pours, but I'm not going to talk about it. So thank you, Kit and Kat. Hope you're having a good night. Good riddance, man. You deserve everything that's coming to you and more. So it doesn't seem like he had a secret. It's like he was a secret killer. That's what I'm saying, Jay Oliver. The other thing that was really weird, his eyes really connect with you, was when you would take a schmoozy, kind of fuzzy, cool actor that, let's say, for example, a Cary Grant. Okay. Cary Grant was a great looking actor. He was very smooth. He was very suave. He was very comedic. He was very funny. He was like every day. He could play every kind of day kind of guy, and he could be the most sophisticated person in Monte Carlo at the casino there. But you take somebody like him, and now you cast him as the bad guy or the villain, and that can be a little hard to take down sometimes when you totally cast somebody against type in a movie. And sometimes it's backfired on some. Sometimes it's backfired on some stars. There were some uh, women that took roles that they were tired of being goody two shoe kind of roles, and they wanted to see what it was like to be to play a bad girl. And sometimes their careers were never the same again after that, playing against type. There was a movie called Blue River, Jay. Yes, there was. Deborah Winger over that beautiful rich Ace Carson. Yeah. Cupcake is my 33rd wife. You have to fight for Cupcake, Alan Gold. Raging Bull was awesome. Thank you, Scorsese, right? Didn't he direct Raging Bull? I think he did. Scorsese was always just noted for his raw realism and just ability to just put it out there. He didn't give a flying. Or when Jennifer Grey had a nose job, I don't know. It sort of defined her, but people don't necessarily fixate on that feature. You know what I mean? They look at the totality. They remember her coming down the steps and walking out on the pier at the lake and doing her little dance and things like that. And hey, you can never tell people what to do. I mean, if it made her feel good, that's great. But when she was presenting with Patrick Swayze at the Academy Awards, she was really disappointing when they were presenting the award. I don't know what year it was. They were giving out an award for maybe Best Actress or something like that. But she was so ditzy at the awards. She just would put her head down on the podium, and it was just, I mean, it was almost, I don't know, it was cringe. It was like one of the most cringe things I've seen at the presentation of the Academy Awards. Hey, Doris, how are you? They lift us up where we belong. Yeah, the dance was cute. Yeah, and it's a shame it killed the career. I mean, if it made her happy, but I didn't think her nose was was off-putting. I actually like people that have differentiated features, like a different kind of nose, or I always get accused of having big googly, big. No, Google, not you. Big googly eyes. I can fit in anywhere, but I won't be happy everywhere if that makes sense. Yeah, exactly. It's a shame, Um, sometimes you'll do something, and I don't know. You'd like to think that there's a little more behind that rationale than that. Cringe is always so very cringy when it comes to the movies, and sometimes the Academy Award. Yeah, I thought her nose was awesome too. We used to have Amanda May in the community here, and she'd sometimes in quiet when we would talk and stuff like, we were on and off friends and hated and liked it. We went through this whole drama sphere, but she had a very big Italian nose. And I said, "Man, that's like your greatest feature. I wouldn't change that for all the money in the world. I mean, that's fantastic to have that that big ass Sicilian age. Oh, thank you, Jay, and not just your your sweet Jay. There's a movie even here on Night of the Lepus about radioactive rabbits. Wow." Well, thank you, Jay Oliver. I like unique people too. I think that's one of the reasons I liked Casey Neistat. He has the typical Hasidic type of nose, but I find that very appealing to me. I find that trait very appealing. It's what defines people. And being beautiful or not beautiful has nothing to do with the nose. It's the proportionality of all of your features. And uh, Casey Neistat said, I always felt very cartoonish. And then I woke up one day and I felt great about myself and who I am. And I'm like, yeah, man, embrace it. Embrace it. Oh, yeah, there you go, Jay. Yeah, so um, look at all the facelift actresses do. Well, I might be there before too long. Yeah, I love Casey. Unique people are very, very appealing. They're very attractive people to me. It's what excites me about human beings is not how much we can all look the same, but how much how much uniqueness individuals bring to things. And I don't think the average woman who's more than just a superficial woman is not going to evaluate a guy on whether he's, the handsome guy. I've seen the most beautiful women in the world with some of the what might be traditionally unattractive men, but there's other features about those men that their presence, their confidence, and there's so many other things that women tune into. Compared to men can be a lot more narrow focused on things. No more big plastic butts. She looked better with the big honker. I think she did too. Yeah, Barbara Streisand never went down that road. She embraced exactly who she was, and I give her a lot of kudos for that. Not the biggest fan of her. She's a tremendously talented person. Um, some movies I enjoyed of hers, and some didn't. She did the Chris Christopherson movies with him. She did Fiddler on the Roof, and just so many Hello Dolly, so many things that she did. So yeah, Priscilla Presley. But I like that. She embraced her, and it's a good thing, the schnoz, the nose. It was a beautiful thing. From Pretty Men, I always honed in on the oddities. I think so, Moxie. I think that's it. It's nothing to be guilty about. Cyanide says I'm guilty of that. I get attracted to people for different reasons. That means that you operate on more than just a sensual visual level, and that's a good thing. I mean, it's one reason that people may stick within their own cultural identity when they marry and date and things like that, because to them it's a more appealing prospect to have that to know that those traits will continue. So I do look at the guy's shoes and I look to see if there's a slight bulge in his pants, and I go for to Laser Wolf, to Tavia, to Sidle, your daughter, my wife, and there is something to drink about, something to think about. Drink L'chaim to life. God would like us to be joyful, even though our hearts lay pounding on the floor. Ooh, 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 ooh. Dolly Parton called in tonight. Thank you, Nocturnal. Thank you, baby doll. You have a wonderful thing. Our movie club will be fun. It will be. It will be. But I don't want it to be one-sided. I want to have your guys' input too on what you want to see. But I only ask this one thing. Try to pick something, not necessarily your favorite movie, but something that you could defend that makes this a classic. A classic being defined as something that you could watch over and over again for life. Not every day, not every week, but at least maybe once a year, and derive as much enjoyment out of that as the first time you ever saw it. So a movie that's enduring, a movie that breaks new ground, a movie that you remember because of the music, or a movie you remember because the storyline was so compelling in it, like Shawshank Redemption or a movie like that. Movie club, it's not really a movie club, just we thought on Monday, I like to have open chats, but for at least part of that open chat on the Monday, we could pick a movie, highlight that movie, and then give people a chance to watch that movie during the week. And then when we reconvene the following Monday, we dedicate maybe a half hour or something to discussing that movie. People can put on the side what they think was good about the movie. What did they think sucked about the movie? Did they think it would qualify as a classic movie in terms of its performance, in terms of its cast, in terms of its story? Should it be considered a classic? And it's not necessarily going to be a movie that everybody's heard about, which is our first movie that I've selected, and it's down in the description box down below the YouTube where you see the hangout going on. And it's called All My Sons. It stars Edward G. Robinson and Burt Lancaster. It's a post-World War II movie that dares to look at the realities of corruption, greed in in business producing war products, and how lives are lost and the repercussions from cutting a few corners and the ripple effects that just totally destroy a family. Do do, Phantom in the Ops. Oh, you love me, it will be forever. La da dee, la da do 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 do. Come to me, that feeling in the night. Say you love me, it will be forever. Phantom of the Opera was a tremendous Broadway. That was an excellent Broadway. Excellent. But a great story is the backbone. A great story is the backbone of that for sure. Because Phantom of the Opera is a very good, very renowned classic book, and made into a movie. Watch the movie. I guess you should pick up some popcorn. Just check it out. If you can watch it in one sitting and maybe hold off watching it until until the weekend, maybe Saturday night or Sunday, and then it's fresh in your mind when we come in on Monday. Be a good damn, every time I eat yogurt or something I get that crap now. So let me grab something else to drink. You love the original. I really like the songs from Phantom of the Opera, and I like the people that sang them on Broadway. Like some of you like Cats, but I heard Cats so many times. Memories all alone in the moonlight. La da dee 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 doo doo. La da 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 doo. You'll remember, oh, what happiness is. And it's good. Watch for Life. Gypsy Rose Lee, good story. The great Rosalind Russell and a very beautiful Natalie Wood. Right, Gypsy. Everything's coming up roses for me and for you. Ronnie Ram, Princess Bride, Watch for Life. The Gypsy Rose Lee, and I always like Rosalind Russell was an extremely strong, great actress of the late 30s and 40s. Very excellent actress. Urban Cowboy, Princess Bride. But I always enjoyed Broadway. Not much into opera and Broadway. I just don't seem to have the attention. I like bits and pieces out of it. Like I would have liked to have seen Les Miserables with Patti LuPone, who I think is probably our premier Broadway singer, female singer. When she did the original I Dreamed a Dream from Les Miserables, and she kind of defined that role. I know Susan Whatever did on Britain's Got Talent, but Patti LuPone and Evita, that one. Charles Daniels, The Long Goodbye. Let me get something to drink. I got to get this yogurt out of my throat. It's clogging me up. Damn, I got like a lactose intolerance. Shit. 76 trombones. I think one week we'll talk about favorite musical too. That could be fun. Say favorite Hollywood musical, whether it's The Music Man, Meet Me in St. Louis, State Fair, ride Showboat. Old Man River, that old man river, he just keeps rolling, he just keeps rolling along. Oh, never heard of it. Public domain. Listen on. You might find it on alternative sites. I just tried to give you. Yeah, that's yogurt, right? I know, and I just tried to give a. I just tried to give a basic link, and maybe you could find a better rendition of it. Yeah, dairy just always hits me, and it's like, damn, I just had a yogurt. I've been gone good for 2 hours, and bam, 5 minutes after I started on that yogurt, it's like I got all that goo. Water would be better. Yeah, when you sing these old classics, I get transport, no joke. Just like you smell something brings back memories. And you know what these inevitably always bring back? They always bring back, no matter how bad the times are, they always bring back, they always put a smile on your face. When you think of Ava Gardner on Showboat in Hearing Old Man River, with that whole cast kind of rocking back and forth on the on the riverboat, just some good stuff, you know. Across the universe, right? When you say, yeah, dairy and soda makes me have thick. Ooh, that could explain what I'm just having a diet 7-Up. I thought it might clear my throat tonight. Anyway, it has been getting a lot better. Remember how bad it was on Friday night? I'm talking on my hang, and it's like I'm just spitting up fur balls or something. It just had such shitty air quality for week in and week out. Ava was very pretty. I liked Sophia Loren was extraordinarily beautiful. She had some acting chops too. She was pretty good. The kids nowadays will never know the feeling riding a 74 Ford pickup with your boyfriend and parking and looking up at the stars. There you go, Lisa. Yo play. I think I had. I think that's owned by that. I think that's it, Jay. It just keeps rolling along. Okay. All right. Well, guys, it's about 10 o'clock. I think I've been on for about 2.5 hours. I had a really good time tonight. I didn't know if 5 people would show up tonight or 10 people would show up tonight. So if you think you're going to enjoy it, maybe tell a few friends, maybe tweet it out on media if you enjoy classic movies, classic theater, classic Broadway tunes to stories to all that cinematography, photography, directorship, camera work, breakthroughs, technical breakthroughs, costuming, all that kind of stuff. That it might be a fun hangout to be on. So with that, guys, I am always going to close it. Yes, Elizabeth Taylor, flawlessly beautiful. Yeah. So with that, I'm going to close it out and wish you all a wonderful night. I've had some new people come in that I've had the pleasure of meeting tonight. And I want to thank all of you for showing up tonight. It was really surpassed. I thought maybe I'd get 5 or 10 people be like, oh man, who in the hell wants to talk about movies? I do. Much love, Roscoe and everybody else. Jen, thank you. The link will be in this description box, and maybe Jen can put that on a cut and paste on a notepad, and my mods. And then periodically throughout the week, they can drop that into the other chats. I'll also mention it on the other channel where I do strictly uploaded content now, and we'll get the word out. So thank you very much. If you haven't hit the thumbs up on the way out, it's always nice to see 100 registered on there. Love you, Craig. Thanks for coming in. You Unknown says, I love this show, but then again, I'm a little drunk. Sweet dreams, Cyanide. Keeping the boys on their toes and some of the girls too. Genevieve, thank you for coming in. You've been a great addition. You've been an outstanding addition to the chat. You're a very smart cookie. So, all right, Dave, good to see you. Charla, congratulations again. Your sister just can't lose. So, all right, love you guys. Thanks for hitting that thumbs up and have a wonderful one.